Hey guys, here with a GHK 551 or 553, doing some work on the trigger group, so I thought I'd record it since there's nothing online, I don't believe, for the GHK. So yeah, done some work in here already, 3D printed part to address a failure. I'll explain that when I get to it. But yeah, first I'm going to take out the auto lever. I've already taken off the C-clip, save some time. Pull this out. The auto lever will come out if you hold the trigger back. Just wiggle it around the spring that's down there. And ignore this. This is also due to a failure. But this piece here, this little screw that I've drilled in there, there was a little nub on the auto lever before, which I don't know if grinding down over time, over use, but it would start to fail in the middle of full auto. And I found it was because there's too much play in the bolt carrier, and the auto lever sometimes doesn't get tripped. It slips beside the bolt carrier. So bent this slightly and put this little screw in there, so it stands off just right, and there's no play, because originally there's just way too much play, and it's able to kind of slip past the bolt carrier. So yeah, that's that fix. So put that aside. Next, I tap out the pin for the selection lever. And we're going to start at the back here. So once this is out, it's basically just a game of pulling it out from the other side and twisting it out as we go. And you might have to pull the trigger in a little bit too, because all these divots in here will hold on to all these things. So as we keep turning, it'll come out easy. So we'll see how it goes here. So just push it in, and then you see the sear there catches. So we need to turn it until it disengages, pull it a little more. And then we got caught on the spring down there, so we'll turn it a little more. Keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, and it should just a little help there come out. Yeah, so next I'll take out the trigger. Can't find my tool. Yeah, this should just come out easy. And once you have that out, you'll need to just disengage the spring. It's hard to see. Yeah, the spring down here, the hammer, off of the 3-round burst mechanism. And once it's off, this whole unit should just slide right out. It's pretty crazy. Is 3 years of heavy wear on this device, on this platform. There's very little wear, except for my mangled auto lever, but I did that myself. Next is going to be the hammer. I can remove this spring, and same thing, going to push on this side out. Okay. Hammer spring comes out. Hammer, and the valve knocker there connected to my 3D printed part. And I'll take this out and kind of explain what I did here, which is the piece down there is very similar to the original backwards. I'll show that in a minute, but okay, so once you take that piece out, other one, it's not screwed in originally. So this piece, the original piece, it has this little rectangular cutout which sits on like a right angle piece of steel that comes up, bent up into the trigger box. I don't know how, but that snapped off on my replica here after three years of really heavy use and abuse. I've dropped it several times on concrete. That doesn't explain this break, but I don't know. I don't blame GHK on this one. But yeah, so because it broke off, there's no way of reattaching it where it was. So for the longest time, I drilled a hole, as you can see there, had this thing just shim forward a bit and had a screw going through that hole. But that caused massive problems with moving this side and this side, cause problems with 3-round burst and the auto lever due to this width of this contributes to how high and low the auto lever can travel. And if it goes too high, it mangles the bolt carrier, which I had happen. So what I did was I 3D printed a very similar piece where it goes into my screw hole, but the width of that one end is just a little bit longer, so I can still use my mangled auto lever. Don't have to replace it. But yeah, that's it for disassembly. There's one C-clip here and a pin that would go this way to remove the whole bolt catch area. But that's that. And so I'm gonna lube up these pieces. Got some actual gun lube I'm gonna try for the trigger contacts. And yeah, come back and I'll reassemble it. See you soon. So now I have all the contact points on the trigger components greased up, ready to install them back on the lower receiver here. I'm going to do things in a little different order than taking it out. I found there's one tricky bit, especially with the 3-round burst mechanism here, with this stepper here. When this is installed, it has to be in the upwards position. If it's down, then this piece comes up and it stops the fire select pin from going through. So installing this first, getting the pin through there is the easiest way to go about this, I think, from what I found anyways. There's probably different ways of going about it, I think, because I did manage to install the hammer first and then the trigger and work my way backwards. I got that working once and I couldn't replicate it again. But this way I was able to get it like 1 or 2 tries. So here we have the trigger, going to put it on first. It has this hollow pin that goes through the center there that connects all these pieces, and we got the sear here. I'm going to put the sear spring on there as well in this orientation. So the fire selector pin is going to go through this way. So we want this pin underneath and this part of the sear above the pin. So next, put the spring for the trigger on there, and we'll get the 3-round burst mechanism, have it clicked in the upward position, put it on here, make sure the spring for the sear is behind everything, and just sit that down in there so it lines up. Pin, gonna put it in with this slot on this side. Okay. Next, I'm just gonna put this spring underneath, and we're going to pull it up onto the hammer pin instead of the other way around. Okay. Yeah, so the hardest part here is getting this through here, so we'll do it first. Flip this around. Okay. Just make sure it's in the divot, and that's pin. Just gonna feed this through. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's on securely or not at the moment. Next, we're gonna pull the trigger pin or spring down over. Oops. so. And then it's just a matter of feeding this through. Make sure I got this spring in the right spot. Let me get it through. Oops. Come on. I think I need to like push up on it. Now there we go. The trigger needs to be pushed up a little bit. There we go. So that's in. And I think I just touched it and tripped it, but I think it's okay now since it's in place. It's going to engage the sear spring there. I'm just going to push this forward so it clicks on. Okay, now I'm going to put in the hammer and the hammer spring. Feed it in beside the 3-ohm burst. Make sure the springs are down. Yep, there we go. But this time, because we still have to attach the spring on the bottom there, I'm going to feed the pin in through the other way. I'll make sure that this divot goes in this way. Oops, that's not in. There we go. There we go. Don't push the pin all the way through. Just leave that gap there. Fit it inside a divot and use a tool to pry her up. Move the hammer. Oh, I think the pin is still very slightly in the way. There we go. Pull up on this and then push the pin the rest of the way through. Requires a little jiggling, I think. There we go. That sits on there. That sits on there. Everything is engaged. Just need to put the auto lever back in. Should be good to go. So the one problem I see right now is that I need to put the spring back inside that little slot here. Right there. The other side should be on the auto lever, which is correct. So we're going to push this back in, and as I said, it's easier if you hold the trigger back and then feed it underneath the hammer spring on that side. Once it's in there, just feed this pin through, and then we have the C-clip. I'll just put that down a moment. I'm just going to clip that on there. I think it's on. Yep. Yeah, it's on. Good. Okay, so let's test it out. So here we are, it's all assembled. One thing I forgot to mention is I put the lever on the one side and tap the pin in. So let's just make sure she's working. Got on full auto already, so let's try that out. Oops, forgot to hold the bolt catch down. Working, 3-ohm burst. And single shot. Yep, everything is working. So, thanks for watching. Hope this helps someone out. Cheers.